What's up everyone, Vu of Envu Films, and I'm back with another idiotic video for you to watch. And today I'll be discussing the perfect light for wedding filmmaking, videography, cinematography, whatever douchebaggery you want to call it. Now, before I talk about that particular light, I want to say that up until yesterday, I have been recommending this light right here. It is the Came-tv Boltzen 55 watt. The non-wireless version, it only has one slot for the Sony battery, and it has been perfect for me for the most part. It has been working flawlessly for weddings the past 2 to 3 years. It has traveled with me to Spain and around the areas of the United States, Colorado, Buffalo, Georgia. I am from the Washington, D.C. area. So this is a very great light. It does the job. It's compact. It fits in a carry-on luggage, which is, includes 2 lights and the stands. Everything that I really want out of a light for wedding filmmaking is pretty much right here in my hand. And, it's focusable, perfect for receptions. You can put a Bowens mount on it and put, softbox, whatever Bowens mount accessory that you could think of, you could put on this light. However, I received the light for review from my friends over at Per Gear yesterday, and it is the Aputure Light Storm 60D, and it comes in this very, very high quality case. Now, if you compare this Aputure 60D with the newer version of the Came-tv Boltzen that is wireless, they're actually the same price at $369. There's also the Aputure LS 60X, which is bicolor, which is even more expensive due to the fact that it could do bicolor. But this is the daylight version, and I'm going to discuss that today and why I think this is indeed the best light for wedding videographers and pretty much anyone else who's just looking for a very versatile light to use. One key component that I think makes this light better than the Came-tv Boltzen, which is the fact that it is weather resistant. I've been in plenty of situations where I had to take this light outside, wet, rainy, snowy, whatever, and I got really sketched out with the Came-tv Boltzen, whereas this Aputure light would fit right in any weather situation. Right off the bat, here is the Aputure light. This thing, in terms of just build quality, it is actually a lot better than the Came-tv Boltzen, which is the one thing I had a lot of experience with. The one advantage I would say about the Came-tv Boltzen is that the battery mount is actually built right into the light itself, whereas the Aputure, you do have to connect it separately off of the light. So you do have to mount everything separately. Other than that, the yoke is a lot higher quality than the Came-tv Boltzen. And just everything else, the build quality of this Aputure light is just a lot better than the Came-tv Boltzen, just 100%. And all the knobs, all the buttons, and ability to focus the light with just this knob versus having to do it manually here is definitely a lot more convenient in my opinion. So the Aputure kit comes with these barn doors, which is very easy to install. All you gotta do is pull this little locking mechanism off, turn to the side, and then you slide in the barn doors like so, and then you just lock it into place. And now the barn doors are installed, and this is how they work, pretty much like any other barn door system. And this is exactly what I would use in the instance of filming a wedding. Just like so. And then if you want to mount a Bowens mount accessory, you just take these barn doors off, and then you can put on the Bowens mount the same way you put the barn doors on. So this is the Sony battery mount for the light. To mount it on, you just take it and you just mount it right here onto the side of the light like so. And now you plug it in right here, and it's like a weather sealed attachment for the light. And you have your battery power right here locked into the yoke. You take it off, press the button, you pull right off. There's also other ways for you to power this light other than just the Sony batteries. You could go to the Aputure website to read more about that. But, and this is just the standard power brick. Same thing, you slide the power brick on. And of course, it comes with AC power adapter. So you just put the AC adapter right here onto the yoke as well and plug it into the nearest wall at the wedding reception or wherever it is that you're trying to use this light. Ideally, for weddings or some type of events, I like to have 2 of these lights. And normally, at every wedding reception, I will be lighting the reception to give the dance floor more contrast, to give it more pop, to give the subject that I'm trying to focus on the dance floor a pop. Also, I would use it to help light the person who's giving a toast or speech during the reception. There have been occasions that I've also had to use lighting during ceremony, especially in darker hotel ceremony situations where they couldn't do the ceremony outdoors, and I felt like in order to make this ceremony look good, I had to light it. So I've done that many times as well, and I'll detail how you do that right now. But first, I'm going to go ahead and put this light actually to use as my key light for this video. Right now I'm just using a standard LED panel with a little bit of a soft box on it. I'm going to take this light, put the Bones mount on, and I'll mount it and have it be my key light. So now I'm using the Aputure 60D with the Bones mount with just a pretty standard soft box that was found in my basement. So this is how it looks like. This is actually at 100%. I've tried to adjust the lighting according. I try to adjust my camera settings accordingly. Now I'm using S-Log3 on Sony a7S III. So this is pretty much how it looks like. But with that being said, I'm going to diagram how I use this light for a wedding reception normally. So normally a dance floor would look something like so, right? You got a big old square like this, and you have the sweetheart table, and this is where the bride and the groom sit. So what we try to do is we put one of the lights here, and then directly across from it, another light here. This is ideal situation. So then we could blast the light this way, blast the light this way in flood mode, and you get this whole area nice and lit. And then so when the bride and groom are dancing right here together, we could be filming from here or something and get a nice little backlight. There's a nice little rim on them, or this could also be like a key light for them while they're dancing. This is a very ideal situation. And then, of course, someone is here giving a toast, and this is again very ideal for someone to be sitting here giving a toast, looking directly at them, facing the bride and groom. So then here you would have a nice little kick for the speaker, a nice little key for the speaker, and this also serves as a key for the bride and groom, as well as this light. It will give a little bit of a kick for them. So you could be recording the bride and groom's reaction with, let's say, a camera here, the toast camera of the person this way. So there's one camera here, and then you get reaction and you get the person's portrait while they're giving their speech. And this, this is a very ideal situation. A lot of times we may have to put the lights kind of further back, or we have to aim it a certain way to avoid guests, because there's always that one guest that complains that the light is in their eye. And of course, during dinner time, we do dim the lights or we turn it off entirely. But sometimes there is that one guest that even complains during dancing that the lights are in their face. This, that, and the other. It's just an annoyance, and you tell them, hey, look, we're here to do this for a couple, and we need to make sure the video looks good. And to make sure the video looks good, we need lighting. And usually they'll understand, or you could just maybe try to aim the light in a different way to help alleviate them. Maybe take the barn doors, push them up so that it stays above the eye level of the guest. There's a lot of different ways to compromise. Never turn off the light completely just because a guest complains. In another situation, we use the lighting is obviously for a ceremony. especially when it's indoors, like I said, in a hotel, not good lighting, all this tungsten, all this nonsense. So of course, I would also like to mention that you want to make sure that you try to match the white balance of the light. So if it's tungsten, make sure you put a gel onto your 60D to make it match the lighting around the area. You don't want to have like a mixture of light temperatures all over the place. It's going to make your footage look kind of weird. And if you have a 60X, you could go ahead and change the color temperature right on the light itself. You don't need a gel for that. So with that said, in a ceremony situation, so what we do is, if this is the aisle and this is the front where the bride and groom will stand, a bunch of people here, we'll put a light here and a light here, and we'll just blast it towards the front of, so that when the bride and groom is standing there, they're both lit. But in my opinion, even more important than that, this light serves as a rim light or a kick light for people walking down the aisle. So as they're walking down the aisle, say here, this light gives a nice kick. Cameraman will be here pointing the camera towards this way, and they'll get a nice little kick light from the light back here. Other situations would be if I was outdoors for like nighttime shots, things of that nature. A lot of times photographers want to take the couple out to do night shots, and you can do that as well as video. As you have this from the top view, you got the bride and groom looking at each other, and you can just put one of the lights back here, shine it this way, maybe not too much intensity, 20-30%, and you get a nice little like backlight them, have this little silhouette action going on. Try to move back and forth with your camera to make nice movement with the light. Other things you could do is obviously during the sparkler send off, you could have just a light in the back shining towards them as they're walking down. You have a bunch of sparklers here, and you have a nice little kick light for them. Or sometimes photographers don't like that and they want the light over here. You could do that as well, and they'll have a key light as the couple is walking down the aisle, especially if the photographers are using Canon or Nikon, where the autofocus is not as good as Sony. They need a little bit of light to help that camera focus. But anyways, that is how I typically use my lighting for wedding receptions, wedding ceremonies. Like I said before, that is usually ideal situations. Sometimes you do have to move the light around and change up what you're doing based on the situation that is handed to you. But the good thing is these lights are obviously battery powered. Obviously these lights have the capability of being battery powered, so you can freely move the light wherever you need it to go, even if you don't have like a wall outlet nearby. And you're good to go. And that's what I like about these lights. And of course, they'll easily fit in your carry-on luggage. So me, I like to use the same kit I do for local weddings as I do for travel weddings. And my kit needs to absolutely fit into a carry-on luggage all the time. So I want to have at least 2 light stands and at least 2 lights that could fit into a carry-on luggage, no problem, and maybe even like some extra pair of clothes in there. And that's how I do it. And you know, the Aputure 60D should work perfectly fine in that regard. One thing I would say is a little bit heavier than the Came-tv Boltzen I've been using, but that is fine considering when you're using travel light stands such as the Matthews light stands that I use, you're going to have to gaff tape them down. And as you can see, I have a bunch of gaff tape still stuck on the light stand legs. And that's because I make sure I tape these lights down to make sure that no kid or no D-bag guest is going to knock it over and break your light. And worst of all, maybe hit someone in the head. That'll be a disaster. So locally, yeah, we'll probably put some sandbags on there to be safe and tape it down. When we travel, obviously we're not gonna have sandbags, but we do try to put something on there. But definitely we tape down all the legs and make sure it's nice and secure that so it doesn't tip over. I highly recommend the Aputure 60D for wedding filmmaking. If that is, you know, you want to get like the best overall light in terms of build quality, light quality, versatility, what you can do with it, size, all that stuff. If you just want like pretty much the best of the best, I would definitely recommend the Aputure 60D or the 60X if you want the bicolor versatility. Now, you know, I'm not some brand little dude, and I know Aputure is like big on YouTube, and I get annoyed with it myself. But I could definitely admit here that this is a good light, and I think for 369 bucks for the daylight version, it is well worth it, considering most of the competition that has less quality is even the same, is pretty much the same price as it is. And obviously, I forgot to mention earlier, these lights are definitely app controlled, so you can control everything that you need with the light via app on your cell phone. So when that D-bag guest comes over, hey man, that light too bright in my face. Oh, is it? Can you turn it off? I can't turn it off, but I could easily dim it for you right here on my phone. So that'll definitely help you get some bonus points with the guest, regardless of how ridiculous they are. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this helped you make a decision on your light purchase for whether you're a wedding filmmaker, whether you want to be a YouTube douchebag like this, or you want to do corporate interviews, whatever. I think this light will be great for pretty much anything. Till next time, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And of course, lighten up.
Hey man, you shoot Sony while you put up the light?
I know the low light's good, but you still need to set up lights.
You don't need to put up the light.
Nah, man, it doesn't look good, man. You need some more contrast.
You just bumped ISO to 200,000, no problem.
The image just looks way too flat.
Let me show you.
Who told you that looks good?
YouTube?